Even before Trump got into politics, the country was already becoming more divided. Back in the 80s and 90s, political arguments were heating up, and people started getting their news from places that leaned one way or the other. Channels like Fox News and other opinion-based shows pushed really strong takes on politics. By the time Obama became president, social media started playing a big role too. People were arguing online, and it became easier to only hear news that matched your views. All of this made it easier for someone like Trump to step in and take advantage of the division. And that's exactly what he did with the MAGA movement.
When Donald Trump announced he was running for president in 2015, he didn't sound like any politician people were used to. He used bold slogans, personal insults, and attention-grabbing phrases that changed how campaigns looked and sounded. He gave simple slogans that stuck, like "Make America Great Again," "Build the Wall," and "America First." These phrases weren't just catchy, they spoke directly to people who felt ignored and angry. Trump also used insults as a strategy. He called Hillary Clinton Crooked Hillary and Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. These names stuck in people's minds and got repeated over and over.
Let's talk about leadership. Mr. Trump, what sets you apart?
What sets me apart is I'm not a politician like Crooked Hillary. She's had 30 years and done nothing. I built a business, I created jobs. She talks, I act. The system is rigged and people are tired of the lies.
You can call me names, Donald, but facts matter. I spent my life in public service, working for children's health care, negotiating peace deals. You built a brand, not a country. This isn't reality TV, it's the presidency.
Your experience has been a disaster. You lied about emails, about Benghazi. You talk about fact checkers, but they're just part of the fake news machine. The American people are done with your corruption.
This kind of language, calling the press fake, calling opponents names, it's dangerous. A president should unite us, not divide us with hate and fear.
I'm here to make America great again. You had your chance. The American people want change.
Joe would say the unemployment rate in the great state of Ohio. No, you're in South Carolina. Joe, you're in South. They come up and you ever see the guy that no, it's South Carolina. It's not Ohio. Okay. Then he goes, all right, Iowa? Did you say Iowa? No. I did that like 7 times. If I did that once, it would be the end of the road, right? Be the end of the road. They'd say Trump has lost it. They like to say that anyway, I guess. Huh? These people are bad people. No, Sleepy Joe. Well, he's running tomorrow. No, but could you imagine if I said just a small fraction of the mistakes he makes, which are unbelievable, every speech? I actually said the other night, I was watching him when he said about half the population wiped out with guns. I said, that's a horrible thing. That's the end of his evening. That's the end of his political career. And then after the debate, they're reviewing him. They said, Joe Biden had a great night last night. I don't get it, Tim.
Trump went after the media too, calling news stories fake news and warning people not to trust the press. To his supporters, that made him look strong. To others, it felt dangerous.
After Trump was elected, the MAGA movement grew fast. It wasn't just about Trump anymore. It became a whole group of people who felt like the system had forgotten them. Most of his strongest supporters came from small towns and working-class communities. They said they were tired of being ignored by politicians and the media. The movement pushed hard opinions on race, religion, and guns. People felt like their way of life was being threatened, and they wanted someone who would fight for them.
In Britain, we don't really have guns. Could you explain? Really? Yeah, could you explain it to why they're so important?
Why it's important?
Yeah.
It's your life against the bad guy that has the guns. The bad guys will always get the guns.
Yeah.
They take the legal guns away. The bad guys aren't going to give up their guns.
Sounds good. The Second Amendment gives us the right to have a gun.
To keep and bear arms.
Yeah.
Against, basically, in case the government wants to take them.
And do you feel like that might happen?
Oh, yeah. Well,
they want to, yes. Kamala wants to take our guns.
She says she'd like to do away with guns, but it's a right that we have.
For many, MAGA was about pride and patriotism, but for others, it became a symbol of hate, division, and anger.
As the movement grew, so did the tension in America. What started as a slogan turned into one of the most powerful and most polarizing forces in modern politics. People stopped just disagreeing and started seeing each other as enemies. Political fights got louder, more personal, and harder to ignore. Most Americans lost trust in things that used to feel solid, like the news and even the voting system. Trump called the 2020 election rigged and said the media was full of lies. Some people believed him, others didn't. That mistrust spread fast. People began questioning facts, science, and each other. Families argued at the dinner table, and friendships broke over politics. Trump didn't start the divide, but his words and the MAGA movement made it grow bigger, louder, and harder to fix.
Now, in the 2020s, Trump is back. In 2024, he won the presidency again with strong support from the MAGA movement. His rallies are still loud and his speeches are still full of the same bold, aggressive language that helped him rise the first time. He continues to attack the media, insult opponents, and call out anyone who disagrees with him. For his base, it's a sign of strength. For others, it's a warning that nothing has changed.
Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer.
He's also pushing back hard on diversity programs and affirmative action. He says they're unfair and that everything should be based on merit. For his supporters, that's just more proof he's fighting wokeness, but not everyone agrees with him.
Tell me about your claim.
I wanted to talk about affirmative action because we haven't really gotten to it, and it's recently been revoked based on the new Supreme Court ruling. And I firmly believe that affirmative action is constitutional and is a right that certain American citizens deserve. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, the 14th Amendment allows for equal protection regardless of race, and it's a colorblind amendment. And the whole idea of affirmative action is to try to give people extra boost based on their skin color or their racial background, which by definition cuts underneath the idea of equal protection.
Okay. So do you know why the 14th Amendment was founded and the Equal Protection and Equal Rights Act
Yeah,
exists?
the 14th Amendment was a post-Civil War amendment. 14,
Yes.
15, 16, 17 were all during Reconstruction.
So what was it in response to?
Slavery.
But this time, something's different. Gen Z isn't staying quiet. They're using platforms like TikTok and Instagram to fight back, with videos, posts, protests, and organizing that spreads fast and wide.
Students, young voters, and activists are calling out misinformation, pushing for justice, and challenging the rhetoric they see as dangerous. While Trump still has a strong hold on American politics, a new generation is stepping up, one that's loud, connected, and ready to speak out.
Welcome back to Voices Across the Divide. Today, I'm joined by Chet, a proud supporter of President Donald Trump. Thanks for being here, Chet.
Glad to be here, Leia. Let's make interviews great again.
Right. So, Chet, let's start simple. Why do you support Trump?
Easy. He tells it like it is. None of that political correctness nonsense. He puts America first, not like Sleepy Joe, who's out there giving our money to Ukraine and letting immigrants flood the country.
Okay, but let's break that down. Trump's tax cuts favor the top 1%, and the border wall, you know, the one Mexico never paid for, was never finished. Do you think slogans like America First are more about feelings than facts?
Nah, look, he built parts of that wall, all right? And the tax cuts help business. That's how you get jobs. You ever run a business, Leia?
No, but I've read economic data. The national debt increased by nearly $7.8 trillion under Trump, and job growth slowed even before COVID. Does that sound like a good business?
Debt schmet. Obama added to debt too. At least Trump wasn't out here raising gas prices.
Okay, gas prices are tied to global oil markets, not presidential tweets. But okay, let's talk rhetoric. Trump called Hillary crooked and said the 2020 election was rigged, and routinely attacks the press. Do you think that kind of language helps democracy?
I mean, sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire. The media lies all the time. Trump just says what we're all thinking. He's not afraid to call out that deep state.
Define deep state.
It's like the shadow government. Bureaucrats, elites, probably some lizard people. I saw this YouTube video.
Come on, Chad. Do you really believe lizard people are behind the government?
Maybe. Look, all I know is Trump loves America. The left hates it. Y'all want to cancel everything. Statues, Dr. Seuss, hamburgers.
No one's canceling hamburgers, Chad.
You say that now, but next thing you know, it's Tofu Tuesdays and pronouns in the Pledge of Allegiance. You say that now, but next thing you know, it's Tofu Tuesdays and pronouns in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Chad, this is why people talk about misinformation. Do you think Trump's constant attacks on journalists, calling everything he doesn't like fake news, made people stop trusting facts altogether?
Good. The media's biased. They didn't cover the Hunter Biden laptop, but they couldn't stop talking about Trump's tweets. Tweets
That reached 80 million people and often included falsehoods. He retweeted conspiracy theories, mocked disabled people, and refused to denounce white supremacy on live TV. Are you okay with that?
He said he was the least racist person in the room. That's good enough for me. Plus, Biden sniffed kids.
Okay, false equivalency. We're talking about policy and rhetoric, not memes. Let me ask you this. What would it take for you to stop supporting Trump?
Honestly, nothing. He's the best president we ever had. He's rich, he's strong, and he loves America. If the libs hate him, he's probably doing something right.
Okay, so you're saying that loyalty to Trump matters more than democracy, accountability, or truth?
Truth is what we make it, Leia. That's what Trump taught us.
And that's exactly the problem. All right, thank you. Here we are at Voices Divided. Thank you, Chet.